Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and it's that time again. It's midweek, and I want you to play some Magic because you can win 2 rare or better ICRs in doing so. This week's Midweek Magic might have you a little on edge because it restricts us to just the 3 most recent standard legal sets. And for some of you out there that maybe are brand new, that is a real disadvantage. Of course, if you've been playing a little bit longer, I have 2 fantastic budget decks for this event. And the really good news is that you have probably already invested in these. Stay tuned. But before we get into all that, allow me to do the awkward thing and promote the channel. A while back, one of my viewers was kind enough to point out that we are the only channel putting out timely midweek Magic content. So be sure to subscribe right here at the Planeswalker Stronghold for all of your future midweek Magic needs, because we will be bringing you a deck list or strategy every single week. So what do you say we put all this aside and just get to that? All right, so right off the bat, I have to acknowledge that if you are very new to Arena, you're in a bit of a tough spot because almost none of your new player experience is going to be legal in this. There are maybe a half dozen or so cards spread between Grave Matters and Spellweaver that are legal in On the Edge, but they don't even come close to making up a deck for you. And in fact, this is it. Although I didn't put all of the basic land type tempo lands, you do have 4 of each of those at this point, I do believe, for every of the 10 color combinations. But beyond that, you've got 3 copies of Electrostatic Infantry, 2 copies of Lightning Strike, 1 Twinferno, 1 Balmor, and 1 Braid's Frightful Return. That is unfortunately a long way from building a deck, and the closest thing is really that blue-red or some sort of red base prowess deck, and unfortunately that deck isn't very good, so I wouldn't put a lot of resources into that. So my suggestion would be to drop in here to your collection, and if you hit this slide bar button right here, it'll let you select the last 3 sets of standard, and my suggestion is to start with your gold uncommons and look for any kind of synergy. And obviously I've been collecting all 3 of these sets, and I have a ton of cards, but your options here are probably going to be much more limited. What you're trying to do is look for some sort of synergy in your jump-in packs, things like that. Hopefully you have opened some packs. If you haven't done so already, definitely make sure you've checked out my comprehensive codes video and redeemed and opened the applicable packs there to try and get you every little bit that you can. That is the best advice I can give, along with the idea that don't stress yourself out too much about trying to get 2 free rare ICRs if you're brand new. Build the best deck you can, but if it's frustrating and not working for you, don't be afraid to walk away from this event. Your collection will grow over time, and there's no reason to go buy a bunch of random packs and waste all your gold, or do a bunch of random jump-in events that don't necessarily benefit you in the long run. Sometimes it's better to know when to walk away. And newer players may also want to consider the focus deck from, I believe it was last week or the week before's Midweek Magic, where it was limited to just Phyrexia cards. And there we featured what I lovingly call the Britany deck, as a reference to Britney Spears. This is a white and green toxic deck that works very, very well and is pretty accessible, doesn't require a whole lot, and is really very flexible depending upon what your collection looks like. So if you you are mostly a Phyrexia all-will-be-one player, this is a good place to start looking. Now, the second full deck that I have for you is a version of Mono Blue Control, and unfortunately I think this deck does lose a little bit more thanks to the on the edge restrictions. But I think what it gives up there, it might actually gain in the fact that a lot of people in an event like MidWeek Magic are just going to scoop to this deck because they don't want to play against it. Just to go over a few things here, I think most of you guys are going to be pretty familiar with this. Bring the Ending makes a very fine substitute for our Streets of New Capenna. Make Disappear. That's the card I'm trying to think of. For those that maybe don't know yet, Curate is simply better than Impulse. In the primary version of the deck, you want to be running Curates instead of Impulses. Here, we are running Impulses to fill space because there's some cards here that, or not here, I guess I should say, things that we just can't run because of the on the edge restriction. We're also running heavier copies of Essence Scatter and Negates for similar reasons. The new tech from the Brothers War was Flow of Knowledge. I think 3 copies on this is really, really good. Stern Lesson is just a poor substitute here, thanks to on the edge restrictions. And I think the newest piece of tech really coming from the Phyrexia set is Blue Sun's Twilight. I'm running, or will be running and testing a single copy on this, replacing a similar card from Kamigawa, because eventually that's going to rotate. While I can see this deck definitely loses some things from the standard legal set, I do think it is worth running, if for no other reason to kind of test some of the different card combinations and see what this deck is going to look like next year post-rotation, because I do think this deck will continue to have legs for the next year and a half or so.
What's that? You didn't catch all that? Well, Matt would like you to know that any deck list applicable to this video can be found down in the doobly-doo. Hey, let's not forget, the whole reason to participate in these totally free midweek Magic events is the prize support is awesome. And don't forget, if this video gets just 10 likes by 8 p.m. tonight on the day of release, I will be live playing this on my Twitch channel. And with all that having been said, don't forget, smash that like button like Ronnie J would. And until next time, I'll see you in the arena.